All right. Okay. Well, we've had a few roster moves since we last spoke. So, a couple players out, a couple players in, and we're still below the limit here. So there could be, there's obviously going to be personnel movement here through the course of camp, but we'll, see how that goes moving forward. So, we're, anxious to start working with the players that we brought in, and so we'll have to see how that goes. The COVID rules and so forth are obviously changing. It seems like every day we get some type of new memo or notification about something. So, we'll just take that as it comes and whatever it addresses, deal with it. Recently we've seen the changes in the pro scouting policy and workouts and so forth. So, it's a little different than what it's been in the past, but, we'll adjust to those. It's good to, have something, solid to work with there now. And then we'll see how it goes with the colleges. We've, I would say anticipated that this was a possibility. So we've had to spend a little time talking about our college process. We modified that in the spring, of course, because we weren't able to go to spring practices and that kind of thing. There weren't any. But that's just part of, the time that we're in and the adjustments that we need to make. And the first team practice is today. So we've had, endless Zoom meetings, then in-person meetings, walkthroughs. Since training camp started, some individual drills the last couple of days, and then, today will be the first opportunity we get to really have any, full speed or high tempo team drills. So, that's good. I think we're all looking forward to that. We're sure we have a lot of work to do. Both coaches and players getting back into, coaching at that level, and certainly the players playing and reacting at that level and so forth. So this will be a good experience for all of us there, and that's kind of where we're at here. We'll get through the weekend and then start padded practices on Monday. So that'll be another phase in the ramp up process. But I feel like we're taking those steps as we're allowed to take them, and the players are ready to move forward at the appropriate time. So, we'll continue to do that, and just, as I say, take it as it comes.
First question is Andrew Callahan, followed by Phil Perry.
Hey, good morning, Bill. How are you?
Good, Andrew. How's it going?
Going very well, thank you. I want to go a little off the wall here, just in terms of historically. I know you've taken your assistants and moved them to different position groups, and obviously that's taken place here this year with several guys. What is the process of training your assistants when you're taking them from a position of comfort and knowledge to something new in order to kind of reshape your staff? How do you coach the coaches there?
That's a great question, Andrew. And first of all, I'd say every situation is a little bit different, but also, coaches they specialize or focus on a certain position, their area of responsibility, but they're also aware of other things, whether it's on the other side of the ball at the complementary positions, wide receivers, defensive backs, type of thing, or whether it's adjacent positions. So that's, linebackers to D-line or that type of thing. So I think there's the move isn't, maybe quite as monumental as what you think it is. It's hard to coach one position without knowing what the guys beside you are doing, or if you're a back, not knowing what the line's doing in front of you, or not knowing what the guys across the ball are doing. So I think there's certainly a buildup of knowledge there, and in some cases it brings a little bit of a different perspective than if you've just coached only that one spot, and the opportunity to coach something else and see what's going on around it, or how those units work together or work against each other, depending on if it's the opposite side of the ball. That can be valuable too. So, ultimately it's the staff on either side of the ball or special teams meshing together and making sure that the communication assignments and all that are consistent, so the players are, getting the same thing and it all fits together. But specifically, each person's responsible for a certain area, but certainly the more that they can know, understand, and even be able to coach other positions is valuable too. And when we do group drills together, like putting the line of linebackers together, or the linebackers and defensive backs together, or the tight ends and tackles together, or the running back and the line together, then the more that those coaches can know what's going on with those adjacent or complementary positions, then the more effective they can coach, and the better the drills and the information is to the players.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next question, Phil Perry, followed by Evan Lazar.
Hey, Bill, wanted to ask you about how practices have gone so far, especially for quarterbacks, because obviously with the spring being eliminated essentially, and you guys trying to kind of condense what would normally be the spring and early summer workouts into this time period, is there anything you can do and your staff can do to try to maximize the time you have to just get more reps in? Have you found that you can get multiple quarterbacks throwing at the same time? Is there anything that you can do indoors in the facility during meeting time to kind of stimulate reps? How can you try to maximize the time that you have with these guys based on the fact that you've lost some time early in the year?
Right. Yeah. Well, again, Phil, I think it's all relative. So, whatever time we have, same amount of time everybody else has, and vice versa. So, we try to use our time as efficiently as possible. And, to this point, for all positions, it doesn't really matter which position you're talking about. The pre-snap, line of scrimmage, and initial, let's say, assignment. We've had an opportunity to go over that extensively, and I feel pretty good about where we are there. What we're missing is the things that happen post-snap and the fundamentals and execution of our assignments at a high tempo with contact, against a quality opponent. So those are the things that we haven't done. Nobody's been able to do, and so we'll start that process really today, Sunday, and then next week with pads is when we'll be able to hit those with some, I would say, solid experiences for the players and hopefully progression. So we're about as far as we can go in terms of walkthroughs and calls and communication and all that. But the speed of the game post snap and what happens once everybody starts moving. We've seen some of that at a slow pace and been able to coach it to a certain degree, but certainly nothing like the way it's really going to happen. So, and then also we're missing all the composite of football: offense, the special teams, the defense, the special teams, the offense, to a sudden change, and those type of things like that. That's obviously a big part of being able to function as a team that we have on our agenda and on our calendar, but we're just not there yet. Last night would have been our first preseason game. We haven't even had a team full speed practice yet, let alone in pads. So that's where we are compared to where we normally are, but that's not really relevant. What's relevant is where we are and what we can do now. So that's what we're going to focus on. But we're just going to have to condense some of the things that we do in the first 2 weeks of training camp to where we are now on August, whatever it is, 15th or 14th or whatever today is, and kind of start that process now instead of back in July 28th or when it would normally start.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Next question, Evan Lazar, followed by Bob Sosi.
Bill, now that you've had a chance to have him in the building, I was just wondering what your early impressions are of Kyle Duggar and how he's done so far with what you've been able to do.
Yeah, well, I think all of our rookies have worked extremely hard. I mean, they're in deep water, and turbulent water, and it's going to get rougher, just in terms of the volume and the level of competition, and becoming a professional athlete, and the full day and the consecutive days that get strung together with very high demands, both physically, mentally, and rest and recovery and all that. So, I think all the guys are adjusting to it. They're all working hard at it. It's a really hard working group. They haven't been any problem. They're just trying to do the best they can, but they're swimming. They're in deep water, and their eyes get opened every day as we move up in the process. And we're still a long way from anything close to real football, but we're doing more now than we did before. So, each day is an acclimation day and an adjustment day for them, and I think they're just trying to, keep their head above water and try to, swim or paddle in the right direction, knowing that they're, not really able to keep up, but they're doing the best they can, and they're way, way ahead of where they were a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. So, a lot of progress there, but a long, long way to go. But they're really all in the same boat. It's a hardworking, conscientious, diligent group that just they have a lot that they're going to have to absorb, and we'll get a much better evaluation of where they are in the next week to 10 days when things start happening on the football field, and we start playing some football.
Next up will be Bob Sosi, followed by Ben Boland, and I'll ask no follow-up questions, guys. We're going to try to get through as many as possible. We only have about 5 minutes left.
Thanks, Stacy. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, Bob.
I want to ask you, kind of taking a step back to help get your team prepared for this point, about two longtime members of your staff, Moses Cabrera and Jim Whalen, and your thoughts about how Moses had to tailor the workout program to all the players in their own individual circumstances, not having the team conditioning, and how challenge. And then in Jim's case, the added responsibilities that he and the medical staff have during this period in the pandemic. How do you describe what they've had to go through and perform?
Yeah, well, it's certainly been different, and Jim is really our point person on all the COVID protocols and so forth. But we've all learned a lot, and we're all learning really every day. As I said earlier, some of the guidelines and protocols and policies and rules that the league sent us have changed, and we have to adapt to those. Some of it's just learning more about as our football team operates through this period, training camp, different types of practices and different interactions and so forth, what we need to do to make it as safe and efficient and productive as we can. And certainly everybody's level of comfortability is important here. So, without that, then I don't know how much you really would get done if everybody's worried about other things and not football. So we've tried to address all those issues so that everybody feels safe. They feel like they're, that everything is in a good place. They can do their jobs and focus on them. And so that's really what organizationally we've tried to provide. But Moses has a lot of experience in training, and he's trained so many different types of athletes in different situations and with different equipment and so forth. So there's very little that he hasn't done. And so whatever a player in the off season, whatever that player was able to utilize, and in some cases we could send him equipment that was small, or that you package and send, that type of thing that would be assist that player's training. We did that as well. So he's very creative and could tailor the workouts individually. Now that everybody's coming back together, we have more of a routine, but still each player is different. And certainly on a football team, it's you're training guys that are very big, very powerful, have one type of physique, and then you have other the skill athletes that are 100 to maybe 150 pounds smaller, faster, quicker, that have a lot of different needs, plus, specialists like quarterbacks and kickers and so forth. So it's a wide range of training that a football team goes through. And, we're very fortunate to have, Moses, Duran, Johan, all the people that work in the training and development department, Joe Kim, all those guys do a great job and have done a great job this year of adapting to the conditions that we've been under.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet, Bob.
From Ben Bowen, followed by Doug Kai.
Weeks and seen him on the field. Just curious your early impressions of Cam Newton and what it's been like to coach him so far.
Yeah, well, again, as I said, we've done a lot of meetings, a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of information's been transferred to all the players, and he's worked very hard. I'd say as all of our players have. We have a hardworking group. Those guys are ready to go, and we put in some long days, and they've been very attentive throughout the process. And I'd say that certainly for all the quarterbacks at that position, those guys have been locked in, been focused, have worked extremely hard, all four of them. And when they all get in a huddle, everybody has a lot of confidence in in what they're able to do and the information they have to give to the team, play calling adjustments, audibles or protection adjustments, things like that. Like that's all gone pretty well. But again, we haven't played at anywhere near the speed that we're going to be playing at, so we'll see how it all comes together at that point. But Cam's a hard-working kid. He really is.
Next question, Doug Kai, followed by Mark Daniels.
Hey Bill, on the Bengals situation from last year, how frustrating was that to lose a draft pick on something that didn't seem to have anything to do with the football staff?
Yeah, well, I think that's obviously the league had a long investigation on that, but really we're just looking ahead, and we have a lot of things in front of us here. Especially getting ready for the season and all that. So. We've moved on, and we'll deal with what's what we have to deal with in front of us here, and it's just let everything go in the rearview mirror, move ahead.
Next question, Mark Daniels, followed by Megan O'Brien, and those will be the last two questions.
Thanks, Stacey. Hey, Bill. Hope all is well.
Yeah, good, Mark.
You've said in the past that this offseason was a little similar to 2011 with the lockout, with the late start. And I was wondering, were there any lessons you learned from that offseason that you could take towards this summer as it pertains to newcomers and rookies and sort of helping them catch up?
Yeah, well, we've had an opportunity to meet with and spend more time individually with the players, than we did during the lockout. At that time, we weren't even allowed to communicate with the players. So, at least now we've had several months of that. I would say the big difference really has been the way that this season has ramped up. Everybody was here, but out of the building for a number of days, and then in the building, but just training, not really doing football other than meetings and walkthrough, which are important. I'm not minimizing that, but and then to activity on the field, to now for a couple days of call it phase 3 or OTA type activity. So the ramp up's a lot different. In 2011, when training camp started, we just went right into it, and the first day of training camp was the first day of training camp. So we've had kind of almost 3 weeks to
testing 1 2 3 testing 1 2 3.
So we've had almost 3 weeks of of being in some phase of ramping up, and that's again quite different from 2011. But it's so the meeting time and the opportunity to communicate information and ask questions and answer questions, all that has been much greater. The opportunity to be on the field and work on techniques and so forth was challenging. I think in 2011 we had, along with a lot of other teams, and that was a good year for us. I mean, won the AFC championship that year, but we saw a lot of soft tissue injuries. We saw a lot of injuries early in training camp, so we're, very aware of that experience. But with this ramp-up period, I think that the players are probably collectively, I think we have a lot of veteran players that have been through this, so we're ready to go. But there are other players that, are newer either to our team or to the league that have had a ramp-up period that's been beneficial to them, that they needed rather than just throw them right into the fire. So I think that part of it has been good. So there's some similarities and there's some differences, but in the end, I think that this will, it's a good plan. I think it's working, and we've made progress to this point. We've had to deal with, a number of changes and adjustments, but it's probably going to be that way for, quite a while. So I think we're used to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My apologies to those that still had questions. I had a hard stop at 8:50. It's now 8:52. So thank you very much, Coach.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. Yep, thanks.
How do we inspire people to lead their healthiest lives? How do we bring everyone together so that healthcare finally works for all of us? We know how. We are the how. Optum. How well gets done.
Ready or not. Gillette ProGlide and ProGlide Gel. 5 blades and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke while washing away dirt and oil. So you're ready for the day with a clean shave and a clean face.
What's my retirement savings plan? Oil, baby. Oil. Sprinkler pipe. Diane!
Please, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, you're good. You're good. The take it back for something smaller with the CarMax 7-day money-back guarantee way. Whatever your way, that's the way car buying should be.
How do we inspire people to lead their healthiest lives? How do we bring everyone together so that healthcare finally works for all of us? We know how. We are the how. Optum. How well gets done.
Ready or not. Gillette ProGlide and ProGlide Gel. 5 blades and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke